All right, let's dive into a story that's literally at the root of everything. It's about where we all come from, the story of the very first human, Adam. It's a story about honor, yeah, but also about making mistakes and, most importantly, about redemption.
But, this isn't just some old story from a dusty book. The real question is, what can his story, his journey from a perfect paradise down to, well, here on Earth, what can that possibly teach us about our own lives right now? Let's get into it.
So, where does this all kick off? Well, funnily enough, it starts before Adam even existed. Picture this. God announces to the angels that he's got a new project. He's going to put a new creation on Earth. And their job, well, their job is going to be huge. They're meant to be its steward, its leader, its caretaker.
And this role has a name, Khalifa. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine someone hands you the keys to a magnificent estate. You're not the owner, but you're in charge of everything. You've got to manage it, make it flourish. You're the steward. And this wasn't some side gig for humanity. From the get-go, this was our entire purpose.
Okay, so if you're going to give someone such a massive job, you've got to give them the right tools, right? So how was Adam set up for success? Well, for starters, he was created directly by God. And here's the kicker. He was taught the names of everything. Now, this isn't just like learning a bunch of words. No. This was a deep, profound understanding of how creation worked. He had knowledge that even the angels didn't have, which kind of proved, hey, this guy's ready for the job. But you know how it goes in every great story? With great honor comes great conflict. Adam's creation immediately brings an antagonist onto the scene. And this character's one decision, just one single act of pride, sets the stage for basically the entire human struggle. Forever. So let's break it down. On one side, you've got Adam. He's made from humble clay, and he's humbled by the honor he's been given. But on the other side, you have Iblis. He's a being made from smokeless fire. And get this, he was a super devoted worshiper. But the second God commanded all to honor Adam, something inside him just snapped. All that devotion was replaced by this consuming arrogance. And his whole argument boils down to this. I am better than him. You created me from fire and him from clay. Wow. That's the justification? He just flat out refused the command because he thought his origin story was better. That one moment of pride, it turned him from a worshiper into humanity's #1 enemy. The first big conflict wasn't about weapons or power. It was all about ego. Okay, so the scene is set. Adam and his wife, Eve, find themselves in a perfect garden. We're talking total peace, everything you could ever want, just absolute comfort. But there's a catch. There's always a catch, right? There was one rule. Just one. A single, simple test of their obedience.
I mean, really try to imagine that for a second. A life with zero hardship. The descriptions we have say there was no hunger, no thirst, no difficult work. Literally everything they could ever want was right there. Complete freedom to just enjoy paradise.
And then we get to it, the one no. Out of all that freedom, all that abundance, just one single tree was off limits. The rule couldn't have been clearer. Don't go near this one tree. That's it. The whole test came down to that one act of self-control. And while this is where things go wrong, this is where the enemy, Iblis, sees his chance and he makes his move. But he doesn't come in with force or threats. Nope. He goes for psychological warfare, whispering a powerful, deceptive promise that plays right into their deepest desires. So what did he say? He starts whispering these little seeds of doubt. He's like, the only reason your Lord forbade you this tree is so you don't become angels or live forever. He even rebrands it, calling it the tree of eternity. And to top it all off, he swears up and down he's just a sincere advisor, trying to help them out. He made disobedience sound like a promotion. And you know what? It worked. The whole thing happened so fast. The whisper led to the choice. And the moment they ate from that tree, the consequences hit them. Immediately. Their special garments just vanished, and for the very first time in their existence, they felt shame. That one moment of forgetting, that one mistake, led directly to them having to leave the garden. But wait, this isn't the end of the story. Not by a long shot. In fact, you could say this is where the most human part of the story really begins. The fall wasn't a final game over. It was immediately followed by regret, by remorse,
and by a huge lesson in mercy that would give them a whole new purpose. Now, think about this. Unlike Iblis, who just made excuses, Adam and Eve owned up to it. Right away, they took responsibility. And God actually taught them the perfect words to say, a sincere, beautiful prayer where they just admit we messed up and ask for forgiveness. This is the first ever example of someone making a mistake and turning back to God. And this is so important to get. Coming down to earth wasn't just a punishment. It was a transition. Earth became the new stage, the new arena where they, and by extension all of us, would carry out that original mission. To be that Khalifa, to be a steward, to build, to learn, and to figure out life, always carrying the memory of both that perfect garden and the mistake they made. So that brings us full circle, right back to that question we started with. Adam's story is basically our story, isn't it? It's a perfect mirror of our own lives. We're given honor, we're given purpose, we mess up, and then we get the chance to say we're sorry and start over. So the real question it leaves for you and me is, as the descendants of Adam, living out this very same pattern, how do we handle our own journey of honor, mistakes, and redemption?